Welcome to another YCN Game of the Week brought to you by La Valley Building Supply. We're here at Claremont, New Hampshire at Stevens High School to watch the Stevens Cardinals take on Mascoma and what should be a very good basketball game tonight. Stevens heads into the contest with 4 wins in their last 5 games, although they were 1-1 last week with a tough 64-57 loss to Monadnock. Mascoma, on the other hand, also comes in. They're 500 at 5-5, but also 4 wins in their last 5 games, although they did have a pretty disappointing loss against Kearsarge last Friday. Probably in for a good matchup. Some players to watch for Stevens. Parker Smith obviously able to score from anywhere on the floor. And then the O'Brien brothers. We saw big things from them in our Game of the Week against Newport earlier in the season. And Zachary O'Brien actually was named our HR Clough Kearsarge Heating Oil Turning Up the Heat Player of the Game. And in Mascoma, another team we saw in a Game of the Week earlier this season, we're looking to watch Alex Schwartz, who is also our player of the game in that matchup over Fall Mountain. So Jeremy, I know you and I kind of have differing opinions on how this game is going to go, but what are you looking for tonight?
Well, I think it is going to be interesting because both teams did start slow, as you mentioned. They're coming on late as the season progresses, both winning 4 out of 5, as you mentioned. I do think Stevens has a little bit of an edge and enough that they should be able to pull away with the O'Brien twins, as you mentioned, and Smith. But let's not count Mascoma out. They play some teams tough. They've won 4 out of 5. The last game against Kearsarge was a little bit tougher for them, as opposed to Stevens lost to Kearsarge at the beginning of the year when everyone was starting out fresh. They only lost by 2. So I think it's going to be, let's hope it's a close game, but I feel Stevens might be able to pull away.
And I'm going to agree with you that Stevens is the favorite team, but Coach Jim Barry is doing a lot of great things with Mascoma. So I think Mascoma may surprise some people tonight, and I think this is going to be closer than a lot of people expect. So stay tuned after the break for starting lineups from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to our YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by La Valley Building Supply. Let's turn it over to the PA announcer for starting lineup, starting with the Mascoma Royals.
At guard, the freshman number 2, Dakota Deacock. At guard, junior number 5, Alex Schwartz. At guard, junior number 11, Devin Duhane. At forward, sophomore number 13, Killian Dowd. And at forward, senior number 24, Jordan DeFord. The Royals are coached by Jim Barry, assisted by Richard Lane, Silas Ayers, and Billy O'Connell.
Now let's hear the starting lineup of our home Stevens Cardinals.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineup for your Stevens Cardinals. At forward, the junior number 2, Parker. Forward, senior number 10, Anthony Stephen. At guard, the sophomore number 11, Noah Spalding. At guard, junior number 14, Zach O'Brien. And at guard, junior number 33, Nicholas O'Brien. The Cardinals are coached by Matthew Bertorni, assisted by Scott Spalding and Paul Silva. Tonight's officials are Kevin Talcott and Jim Moylan.
Well, we're set for tip-off here at Stevens High School, and I think we're going to be in for a good matchup. Although I, for the record, think it's going to be a better matchup than maybe my partner here, Jeremy, thinks. But we'll get into that later.
Always hoping for the best. Competitive matchup on the YCN Game of the Week.
As Noah Spalding brings the ball up the court with the Cardinals winning the tip. And we didn't mention it in our opener, but the Cardinals are currently tied for the 10th spot in Division III, with the Royals coming in only 1 game behind at 5-5. So a lot on the line in this matchup as we get nearer to this Division III tournament. Spalding a little long on that shot, but Zach O'Brien with the offensive board can't get his putback to fall, and Mascoma will head down the court with its first offensive possession.
And we'll see that quite a bit with the O'Brien twins, especially Zachary O'Brien underneath with the first big rebound, not able to put it back, but he will collect those offensive rebounds tonight.
Yeah, we certainly saw that in our earlier Game of the Week when the Cardinals traveled to face Newport. Some astonishing boards for both O'Briens, but Zach in particular definitely finishing in double figures on boards. So as you remember in the Fall Mountain game, this is a very patient Mascoma offense as that shot was blocked by Zachary O'Brien. And the pass was picked off by Mascoma. So Killian Dowd with the ball now for the Royals. Drive into the hole. Gets one off the glass, but a little too hard, and now it's Stevens' ball.
Yeah, you mentioned the patience of the offense. Didn't see it quite there, trying to get the fast break transition bucket. But we did see that in Fall Mountain, where it was a really slow start, sluggish game, but more of a deliberate pace, not really sloppy, but really took their time. Only 18 points in the first half, 8 of them in the second quarter alone, and then they exploded in the third quarter for 19 points. So when they take their time and set up their offense, they can usually get to work.
And I think that's the key. Coach Jim Barry is a coach, as you see. Number 11 there, Devin Duheim, put the Royals on the board, but Coach Barry, a coach that really is good at getting his players to perform, executing the X's and O's. Zach O'Brien hits the 3 to put Stevens ahead 3-2. So no surprise there that in that previous game of the week that Mascoma was able to adjust coming out of the half and really turn things around in the second half.
Yeah, that's when it all started. They started a little bit slow, but they had their offense and they stuck to what they had practiced all week, and it eventually ended up paying off for them.
And they're going to say a travel by Parker Smith. And just a reminder to stay tuned near the end of our telecast for the H.R. Clough Kearsarge Heating Oil Turning Up the Heat Player of the Game. And as we mentioned in our intro, Jeremy, we got 2 players of the games competing here tonight, in Zachary O'Brien earning the honor in our game against Newport, and then Alex Schwartz from Mascoma getting the honor in the win over Fall Mountain. Nice backdoor pass, and that's going to be Duhaime with another layup. So a good start for the Royals, ahead 4-3 here in the early going.
And Claremont will be the exact opposite, so to speak, of this Royals team. Stevens will push the ball, and they're not afraid to, if they get it to Parker Smith, he'll get out there, try and get inside, get a quick bucket. You got the offensive rebounds, they'll try and put them right back. So they're going to move the ball, as we see here, really running up and down the court. A couple passes, and they'll take a shot.
Look at the sharing between the O'Brien brothers. I never shared with my brother that well, but as you see Schwartz go hard to the hole. Nice little move there, getting around the defender. Nice kiss off the glass and a good layup for Schwartz, his first bucket of the game.
Coach Barry has to be happy that they're able to get this early lead against the Stevens Cardinals team that is a game ahead of them in the standings. And as we both said, probably a better team, superior team, as we see the breakdown there.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on the team aspect of the things, but I might go so far as to say that Schwartz might be the most talented player on this floor right now. He is a player. You see Noah Spalding try to dish the ball into O'Brien, but that's picked off by Schwartz. Now the Royals quick up the floor to try to respond. Duhaime's going to take the shot, and he's going to get it. Good 14-foot jumper, and that's going to force a Stevens timeout. So we'll take that timeout, too, from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to our YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply, where, surprise, surprise, it's the visiting Royals with an early 10-3 lead over the home Cardinals. As you see Noah Spalding flying up the court here, kicks it off to Nicholas Schwartz. But, Jeremy, I think, at least in the early going here, these home Cardinals fans must be a little surprised with the way things are going.
Yeah, definitely a little bit surprised in the early going. They're going to try and feed the ball down low and draw some fouls, get some of these three-pointers to drop, and that's another thing that we saw in the early matchup. And, of course, it was against a team in Newport who is yet to win a game, 0-9, I believe, in the standings. So it's a different level of competition, but they were hitting threes all night in that game.
Yeah, you're right. As you see O'Brien taking his first free throw of the night. Gets that to fall, and that is going to be an interesting aspect of this game to see how foul shooting in particular comes into play, and if any of these teams get into foul trouble, as O'Brien misses the second. Just a reminder to tune in every week for the River Valley and Kearsarge Chronicles for the who, what, where, when shows of the region. They premiere at 7:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday right here on YCN, your local view. Good defensive board by Zach O'Brien, sends it up the floor to Parker Smith, and Smith can't get the basket to fall, but he's going to go to the line for two. So 4 quick free throw opportunities here for the Cardinals after that timeout.
And it seems like it's been a running sequence in our games of the week. The charity stripe has not been kind for either team that we've been at, and continues this way as Stevens starts 1 for 3 as a team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's still very early on here with 3:23 remaining in the first quarter, but you never know how close this is going to be down the stretch. And when one of your better players in Parker Smith comes up 0 for 2 from the free throw line, that's not a good thing, a good sign going forward. Short little jumper rims out. Noah Spalding there for the rebound, showing his speed. One of the fun players to watch on the Cardinals soccer team this fall. Nicholas O'Brien fakes the shot. And that's going to be Mascoma ball.
And it looked like Nicholas O'Brien really wanted to take that shot, and then he saw a cutting Parker Smith underneath the hoop. Thought he could quickly feed it in there for an easy bucket. Probably should have just taken the shot. I know that's easier to say now after the turnover, but he's a good three-point shooter. There's no reason to pass that up.
Yeah, he was actually the leading scorer in that game against Newport, as you see Deacock with the backdoor layup to increase the lead to 12-4 for Mascoma. But yeah, Nicholas O'Brien actually, I think, had a game-high 21 points with at least 5 three-pointers in that game against Newport. So he absolutely has the range to pull that trigger if the opportunity comes.
And the fact that this Mascoma team, you've seen their interior defense really nicely so far.
Schwartz with a three-pointer, so he's making some noise here in the early goings.
The Mascoma interior defense has really collapsed when they get into the paint. When the Stevens team gets into the paint, almost daring the Cardinals to take the threes, but they haven't quite done that so far.
Zach O'Brien gets his own rebound, puts it back, and gets the Cardinals back on the board. So the Cardinals now trail 15-6 with about 2 minutes to go here in the opening quarter.
And that is, once again, as we talked about, the O'Brien twins getting those offensive rebounds. And if Mascoma can deny in the paint the first attempt, they have to be able to rebound, because if they give the Cardinals extra chances and give up offensive rebounds, it could be a long night.
As Schwartz is going to head to the line for 2. He was fouled by Parker Smith on that drive to the bucket, and we'll see how Mascoma can fare in its first free throws of the game. Schwartz hits the first one. Just a reminder, if your business is interested in advertising on YCN or you'd like your team to be televised, email us at info@ycnnow.com. And Schwartz hits both, so increases the Royals' lead to 11 points inside 2 minutes to go here in the opening quarter.
Cardinals have to be careful here after getting out of the gate a little slow, not getting their shots to drop. As you see, a nice offensive rebound there.
Very strong offensive board. That was Anthony Stiffen with the rebound and putback. So 2 rebound and putbacks in a row there by Stiffen and O'Brien.
Right, and the Cardinals kind of getting knocked back on their heels after the early, you know, weather the storm so far.
And that is an instant replay waiting to happen. Nicholas O'Brien, great eyes, looks up the floor to see Parker Smith, but Alex Schwartz not letting that layup fall, smacks it off the backboard. Unfortunately called for the foul if you're a Royals fan, and that's going to send Smith to the line for 2. So Smith hitting his first free throw of the night, now 1 for 3 on the evening. So an unfortunate foul to be called on Schwartz, but quite a highlight reel play nonetheless. And Smith misses the second, but Zach O'Brien there to get the rebound, kicks it over to Noah Spalding. Can't get that fall. And Stiffen with it now under the hoop, and he gets it in. So a relentless offensive rebounding by the home team cuts the deficit to 6 inside 1 minute to play.
Nice basket there by Stiffen. He has 4 on the night, and they turn into the non-traditional three-point play down the court that time. Parker Smith hitting the first free throw.
Spalding with the steal all by himself. Kisses it off the glass and in. So the Cardinals making a late quarter rally here and only trail 17-13. Inside 30 seconds to go now. Now this is an opportunity. We talked about how patient the Royals. So Spalding with another steal. And he's going to throw that away. He thought he had O'Brien, but a little miscommunication there, and that's going to be the Royals' ball. So.
Yeah, threw it a little too high and too hard, but a nice steal. They'll give him credit for the steal and then the turnover. But the perimeter defense right now for this Cardinals has really intensified, and I think they've caught the Royals off guard a little bit.
So inside 10 seconds remaining here in the opening quarter with the visiting Royals ahead 17-13. We'll see what Schwartz can do on this final 4 seconds, trying to free up some room, and he's going to be blocked by Zach O'Brien with 0.9 seconds remaining. So It's going to remain Mascoma ball, but for all intents and purposes, there's really not much the Royals can do here with that time.
Quick catch and shoot, but they don't even get it to him.
Well, that's going to do it for the first quarter with the visiting Mascoma Royals leading the Stevens Cardinals 17-13. So stay tuned after the break for second quarter action from your YCN Game of the Week.